Last week on this very podcast, I said I was going to fire Alex Marquez from my MotoGP fantasy team. But could I go through with it? Welcome back to another edition of I Told You So Tuesday, where we talk about my pre-race predictions and see how they fared as it pertains to my MotoGP fantasy team. But before we get into all that, if you could please like, follow, share, subscribe, mash all the buttons so you get all the MotoGP content you can possibly imagine. And thank you to everyone who's been leaving comments and talking with us. It's why we're here. Come on, we answer them all. Let's talk some MotoGP. So before we get into a little technical gremlins, so this is actually not happening on Tuesday, but you know, better late than never. So last week I famously said that I was maybe done with Alex Marquez on my fantasy team because it feels like a little too often he goes ahead and pulls, well, an Alex. A crash here, an injury there, a boneheaded pass, a penalty. It seems like he couldn't get out of his own way, which was really his problem in the championship, because up until then, I mean, we know he's running number 2 right behind his older brother, and it seems like he's the only one who can really take the fight to Marc. So did I have the strength to actually go through and fire the second rider in the MotoGP championship this year? No, I couldn't. He's too strong at Catalunya. I couldn't fire Alex Marquez. And I was so prepared to get just heaped upon with the, well, you didn't tell us so with that one, after Alex crashed out of the sprint race, leading by a second and a half. And I won't lie, I hung my head in shame. I was looking in the mirror going, what are you doing? You said you should fire Alex Marquez. Here you go. You go back on what you said last week. You're a hypocrite. You're an idiot. And now your points are laying in the gravel trap. But Sunday was a different ball game. Alex Marquez came to play, and so I can say at least a little bit, I told you so. He was going to go well at Barcelona. It's a great track for him. Marc said he was going to be strong. Alex said he was going to be strong. Everyone knew this guy had the potential to put this thing not only on the podium, but the top step and end Marc Marquez's long reign of terror throughout MotoGP this season. So Alex gets the win. I told you so. Kind of. All right, the other person on my MotoGP fantasy team that is kind of the obvious choice for everyone, I think, in MotoGP fantasy, so I never relish the fact that much to tell you I told you so with Marc Marquez. But yet again, we have him winning a sprint, we have him right there in the front row as always, and we have him second place on the podium on Sunday, so I told you so. Again, I don't take that much pleasure in saying that because, you know, kind of duh. Now at this point, the second tier riders in my team were I was really looking at this weekend. That was where I was going to make my moves. I thought that Pedro was going to be strong over the weekend, and he was kind of there. I do think he really underperformed, and being beat by Enea Bastianini is not going to sit well with him, KTM, anyone on that team. Pedro wants to be the number 1 KTM. He wants to be there. And that's where I expected him to be. And so, again, I can't really say I told you so with Pedro Acosta. It just really didn't pan out. There were other riders that could have been a much better value for buy, or could have been a much better points for where the position was that I could have gone with, so I didn't go with him. Now, one of the riders I did have on my team last week was Fabio Quartararo, who did nothing for me. Didn't really do anything for me last week. And I didn't expect him to do very much this week. I will be brutally honest. I was never expecting Fabio Quartararo to go well at a very low grip circuit like Barcelona. And there he is, out of Q2, automatically in practice. So I'm like, all right, this is where I'm sitting. I gotta make the move. I gotta offload Fabio Quartararo. That was a mistake because Fabio had a pretty stinking good weekend. We see him put this thing on the front row in qualifying from Q1. I think it's the third race week in a row we've had a rider go through Q1, go all the way through to the front row in Q2. That does not happen very often. It's happened the last 3 weeks, and Fabio Quartararo did it to me after I offloaded him for the Barcelona Grand Prix. But, you know, there's a long straight at Barcelona. He's going to give up a lot of position. No, he didn't. He didn't give up a lot of positions. He fought really, really hard to stay at the front of the sprint and Grand Prix, and he didn't really lose that much ground to the guys behind him. A hell of a ride by Fabio Quartararo I did not see coming. I had the Yamaha a little bit left for dead at this particular circuit. It's got a long straightaway, there's low grip, it's all the things Yamaha is not good at, but Fabio kind of rode his tail off. So hats off to him, not so good for my fantasy team. I can't say I told you so. I really didn't want to wish him ill but you know, he could have just finished top 8 and done me a little bit of favor. Instead, he scores more points than the guy I replaced him with. But the guy I did replace him with comes at a great value, the rookie Ai Ogura. Because I told you so, he was going to have a comeback week this weekend in Barcelona. He's good at this track, he's feeling healthy, he's getting to know that Aprilia after the injury yet again, and we saw him go straight through to Q2. Once this guy is in the top 10, we know he's going to stay there, if not move a little bit forward. He's a racer. On Sunday, no matter where Ai Ogura starts, chances are he's going to finish ahead of that. Now, admirably in the sprint, top 10. I told you so. I was expecting top 10s for him in the sprint and the main Grand Prix, and it got even better on Sunday for Ai Ogura. Hell of a race, keeping Pecco Bagnaia behind him, keeping KTMs behind him, keeping the Yamahas, the Hondas behind him. Did an excellent, excellent job there. Top finishing Aprilia with Jorge Martin and Bezzecchi not really being their week in any stretch of the imagination. And so he didn't score as many points as Fabio Quartararo did in fantasy, so I can't say that the move to get rid of Fabio Quartararo for Ai Ogura was a great I told you so great move, but I can say I told you so when it comes to Ai Ogura having a double top 10 and a very fantastic week, and I think he's starting to little by little get the hang of this MotoGP bike. We saw him come out of the gate really, really strong, then have a little bit of injury and also have to kind of reevaluate his riding style so that he could progress further and then just have that low ceiling and be, well, you know, 6th place is all I'm ever going to be good for. He wants to be a MotoGP champion, don't get me wrong, and he's on factory equipment. He's expected to perform for this team, and yet again, he beats his teammate. Now for my team and constructor, this is where the I told you so gets a little meh, because on the constructor side, Ducati, they win the Constructors' Championship. We all know that. I think everyone in MotoGP Fantasy has the Ducati as their constructor. And for the team, I had factory KTM because I really expected Brad Binder to be closer to the front. Sprint day didn't look that bad of a prediction, and race day came, and yet again, not that great of a finish for Brad. So I can't really say I told you so there by going with the KTM, stepping back from Gresini. I was right in the fact that I didn't see Furman Aldeguer being massively competitive, so I was a little gun-shy about taking Gresini. I thought that maybe with an Acosta podium and a Brad top 6 that they could outweigh the points that just an Alex Marquez would give me. But alas, it wasn't to be. They don't score a whole lot of points over there at KTM. Now, other predictions elsewhere. I did expect Johann Zarco to run a little stronger this weekend. He did. He showed some speed, but ultimately crashed out, and so not a great weekend for him. Luca Marini right there. I'm telling you, these Hondas are getting better little by little, and it seems like there's more than one rider who can ride them. So some weeks it's Marini, some weeks it's Mir, and some weeks it's Zarco. We've seen flashes from all of them. So that's it for I Told You So Tuesday. Let me know how you think I did, and let me know how you're doing with your pre-race predictions this season. I know I'm just bearing it all out here. I want to see what you think before the race. So go ahead and comment. We're going to start trying to do some more content during the week before the race. You guys can chime in and tell me all your brilliance before so that I can see how smart or not smart y'all are. All right, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.